Forward! Forward! Forward!
Fall in.
Hey, good morning, good morning, good morning. What's going on? What's going on out there? It's a Thursday. You're getting that much closer to it being the end, to being the weekend. A lot going on in sports. Of course, you got the March Madness tournament is starting today. You still got free agency going on. Still looking to see what's going on with some of the top players in the NFL. NBA action is continuing to be consistent. You got a UFC fight, a huge fight. Usman comes up for his third time. Maybe third time's a charm. We'll see. A lot going on. But first, of course, first and foremost, let me run it back. It's, you know what it is. It's me, your boy Trey, here, First Formation Morning Sports Talk. So first and foremost, before we get into it, as I said, if you read the caption when we do our poster, for the most part, we got a special guest today. Of course, you have a situation where you have teams or organizations go out and organizations are born. We have another organization born here in this game of round ball, spawned from other entities in which they would like pulled up and like, you know what? I think it's time for us to strike out our own and make something happen. Of course, we have a couple of representatives from here. One of the two of when you talk about the MABA, if you haven't heard of them, put them on your radar so you can get ready to talk and listen to this. The MABA, that is the Mid-America Basketball Association. Of course, this morning we have Mr. Mark Creed from the MABA. What's going on, Mr. Creed? How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. Staying warm.
Staying warm. So, what you say, staying warm? Where are you at? Where are you currently located at?
I'm in Wichita, Kansas.
Okay, so I have not been in the Wichita, Kansas area, although I do plan to go there because I think the NBA, the Military Basketball Association, is due to have some games coming there very soon. I think Memorial Day weekend as they do their championship there. A couple things going on there, so hopefully I'll be able to be in the building for that. So that would be my first introduction to, I guess, the Kansas area. Although I did remember going to, I think it was Kansas. What's good, standing? Oh, matter of fact, speaking of my frat brother, he's in the area in the Kansas area, I think. Oh no, he's in Missouri, different part. What's good, standing? Glad to have you for my show with us this morning. So Wichita, Kansas area. So Mark, tell us a little about yourself first and foremost.
I'm the owner of the Wichita Wizards, men's minor league professional basketball organization.
Okay.
We've been around since 2018, late in the year. I'd been with a couple of teams in Oklahoma as a general manager. Decided to go out on my own and been here ever since.
Okay.
I'm born and raised in Kansas. Went to school at Wichita State back in the heydays in the early 80s with Carr, Livingston, those guys, McDaniel, Aubrey Sherrod. It was a great time to be a Shocker fan.
The Wichita Shockers that came into, matter of fact, speaking of March Madness, that's what it was all made at later on in the year. So being from that area or in and around that area, or even just in the Kansas area, like Kansas is huge when it comes to the representation of basketball for the most part, supposedly home of the establishment of basketball. Does that continue to live on in your mindset of that, the development of basketball and that being the birthplace of basketball for the most part? Does it do it any good being from being in Kansas, and knowing that this is the state to where basketball was first established and where it's grown to now?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's still alive and thriving and the number one sport in the state, in this area for sure.
Okay. So Wichita, Kansas. You just said you are the owner of the Wichita Wizards, who's been around for roughly around 6 years, or close to it, or something like that. What had you start or begin a franchise? I guess you could say.
Well, like I said, being from here, knowing there's talent here, uh, going to college at Wichita State, seeing players finish their careers at Wichita State and have nowhere to go after they were done because there was no pro team here.
Mm.
That was always in the back of my mind. And then I was given an opportunity many years later in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it kind of jumped back on my mind. It was in my thoughts, and when things didn't come together when I was down there, I thought, you know what, it's time for me to go out here on my own and put a team in Wichita and see what I can make happen. And so here I am.
So what was the I guess I want to say temperature, but not use that word. What was it like when you first established that? Was there a did the people of Wichita or in the surrounding areas welcome a professional league team in the area? Or was it, did you have some angst? What was that like initially?
Oh, I feel like there was a lot of excitement in
Okay.
the beginning. We had an outstanding team our first season. We actually had three players that made the roster that never practiced one practice with us because they got called overseas
Oh
within a
wow.
week or two before we ever started practicing. So that was the kind of talent we had. Yeah, there was just a lot of it was electric. There was a lot of excited people, and of course, you have your people that look at it and say, "Oh, well, it's minor league basketball," so they don't think too much of it because it's not the NBA. But then you have others that just love basketball, period, and they were very excited.
Okay, definitely, that being had been in tried my hand at that same something similar at one point. So being a owner of a basketball team, I would just presume that you have a like of sports. Like, what are some of the teams in which you root for out there currently? NBA, NFL, and all that type of stuff. What's the teams that kind of like get your support?
Well, I've always loved basketball since I had one rolled up to me as a kid. Um, One of the first things, first teams that I ever followed was the Chicago Bulls. A long time ago, Bob Love, uh,
Okay, Bob Love.
that group of guys, Artis Gilmore. Uh,
Mm,
that's when I really started loving the game, the pro game anyway. And of course, I remained a Bulls fan. Orlando Woolridge, uh, other guys like that through the years, and then of course when the Bulls became one of the prominent teams in the league, I was very excited about pro basketball. Football,
So,
I don't know. I don't really
uh-huh.
have a pro ball team. Um, I enjoy watching it sometimes, but I don't have a favorite.
Okay, okay. So before I get to this next question, the Shockers, I don't think the Shockers didn't get a invite to the dance this year, right? Right,
No,
unfortunately, not
no,
even the NIT.
I don't believe so. I know the women did, but not the men.
Okay. So who is it that you're rooting for currently, or what is your expectation? Who you think walks away with the championship this year, when it comes to the men's Final Four championship?
I actually did a bracket yesterday just for fun. Um,
Okay.
I haven't watched a lot of college basketball, to be honest. I don't watch a lot of TV, period.
Mm-hmm.
For obvious reasons. There's not a whole lot of good on TV anyway.
Okay.
But I did catch a Purdue game the other day. They played Penn State. Watched a little
Mm-hmm.
bit of that game. I really like their big man, and so just for fun, I took Purdue to win it all.
Pretty rude. I know their first. They have their first test. I think today is against Mississippi State. I think it is. I think Mississippi State beat Texas Southern last night to earn the chance to face off against them first. So, or no, it's not Mississippi State. Mississippi State lost the other night. Who is it exactly? Oh, Fairmont or
I think
Fair, somewhat. Yeah,
Fairleigh Dickerson or
yeah,
Dickinson.
Dickinson. Dickinson. That's
Sorry.
exactly what it is. Dickinson. That's what it is. FD
Yeah.
Dickinson. So yeah, so they face off against them first to have an opportunity to see what it's like. Um, so going back, like you just said, you were a Bulls fan. So I asked this question, right? A couple of questions actually when it comes down to this. Do is Michael Jordan your GOAT?
Yes.
So is he really deserving of that title, or is he just saying? Because some people just say yes, that is. So is he really the greatest of all time in basketball, or what we come to find out there's levels to it. Every era has their GOAT, but you mark Michael Jordan as the GOAT of basketball, like people say Tom Brady is the GOAT in football.
Well, if you look at the history of basketball and having the number of years that I have under my belt,
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Wilt play. I've seen Bill Russell play. I've seen, Kareem play.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I was in high school when Magic and Larry came out into the
Mm-hmm.
NBA. I saw how they changed the league. But when Michael came in, he took it to a totally different level. And both of those guys will attest to that. And the whole atmosphere of the game, the whole NBA changed when Michael came in the league because he was just way above anyone else talent. Um, and to be able to go out and just dominate games, never lose the finals, um, all the accolades that he had, even if he didn't play as many years as some of the other players did. Um, you can talk about the fact that he didn't know what load management was and he didn't want anything to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another reason why he didn't play as many years as some of these other guys. Uh, but yeah, he's my GOAT because I feel like he did more for the game than
Mm-hmm.
any other athlete has in the NBA. And his records and his accolades speak for themselves.
So another question which we had, which we talked about on here before we get in, of course, again talking about the MABA, with Michael Jordan, do you believe wholeheartedly had Michael Jordan stayed the additional 2 years between the three peats, would he have with the Bulls, and would he have 8 championships?
I believe so, yes.
Wow, really? Why does everyone believe that? Even though Akeem Olajuwon was up and coming, the
Yeah,
dream was. Oh,
yeah.
there's a lot of
The
people that
dream
believe
would have
that.
been a problem. I think they would have had their hands full. But at the end of the day, he was the ultimate killer.
Mm,
He was going to win no matter what. And he proved it time and time and time again. And I think he would have won 8 straight. I mean, if you look at who would have been guarding Michael? It would have been Clyde Drexler. He owned Clyde Drexler, and he still would have owned Clyde Drexler. So, yeah, at the end of the day, I think it's 8 straight.
8 straight. Okay, 8 straight. So getting into the Mid America Basketball Association, the MABA. What can you tell us about the
Mhm.
MABA?
Well, uh, we played in another league, which finished this past July.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there were three other teams at the Final Four. Um, we were discussing what we were going to do this season, and each one to a man said they were not going to go back to the league we were playing in.
Mm-hmm.
So we were trying to make a decision what we were going to do. And to through that discussion and the fact that we couldn't find any other league out there that we felt like did it right,
Mm-hmm.
and I still feel that way. We started talking about what looks right to us.
Mm-hmm.
And you look at the NBA and how it's structured, it's obviously successful. So my thought was, why don't we structure something like the NBA, but at a much smaller level? And so that's what we looked at. We looked at NBA's constitution, their bylaws. I went through them. It's like 92 pages. Cut it down to 20 some. Kind of trimmed
Mm-hmm.
the fat. Made things look right for us as a smaller league on a smaller scale, and that's what we decided to go with. So that's how our league is basically put together. We found the commissioner who we hired, um, but the league is owned by the owners. Everything is decided by the owners, and the original owners will be um, part of ownership of the league. So,
Okay. So
yep,
going back to
that's
something.
what we decided to.
Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
going back to something what you said to get like a glimpse or have an understanding, when you said that it wasn't right, or like you're looking for something that was done right, can you expound a little bit on what that particularly looks like to where you felt or where you and your counterparts felt like there was things that wasn't productive as a I ain't gonna say particularly to the league in which you were in, but just in general because you say you look at the other leagues, which you know there's the OBA, the ABA, the TBL, the PBA. So, what was it in reference to when you look at it? Do you think was doing right? Not saying that those leagues don't have it right. I'm guessing that there's every league has some things that are drawing, but also have things that aren't drawing to where it's like, I don't want to do that. What did that exactly look like to y'all? If you can give us a little peek under that hood in reference to y'all's thought process.
Well, I'm not going to talk about any league in particular,
Roger that. Yes, understood.
because I'm not like that. I just
Mm-hmm.
know that a league should not be run by one person or a small group of people that dictate schedules, dictate everything, dictate rules.
Mm-hmm.
For it to be, for me, to be a true league, it'd have to be like the NBA, where the owners
Mm-hmm.
have a say, where the owners make all the vital decisions that need to be made, because at the end of the day, it's their business and they've got to be able to run it in a way that's going to be effective and profitable to them. And if you have someone else dictating a lot of important things about your business, it's not going to make it.
Okay, I get it. Nicely put. So in this league, the MABA, what teams do you have? How many teams are you currently at? How did these teams get in there? Where are they located at?
Well, our goal coming in was to try to have 8 teams, but we didn't really want to find 8 teams. We wanted to find 8 owners that
Okay.
understood our vision, where we were going, what we were trying to accomplish, the fact that it was going to be hard work and it wasn't going to be easy and we were going to have bumps in the road. But anything that you start and do from scratch, you're going to have a learning curve and you're going to have things that don't work out.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, we wound up with 5 teams:
Mm-hmm.
the Wichita Wizards, the Kansas City Stealth,
Mm-hmm.
um, Oklahoma Kings, the Oklahoma Servants, and the Tri State 66ers, which are out of Pittsburgh, Kansas.
Okay. So concentrated mainly in the region, currently regionally, mainly in the Oklahoma, Oklahoma, Kansas area for the most part, starting out.
Right.
Okay. So is
Yep.
there
We
any? I
wanted
know
to
you.
make it cost effective for
Of
every.
course. So, of course, saying that, is there opportunity for expansion uh, to a minimum to get to the 8 teams in which y'all initially planned for, or are y'all just going to continue to go with the 8 teams or a little bit? I mean, the 5 teams in which y'all have to kind of like set a precedence to build the brand, and then come back and start opening it up to additional franchising or expansion.
Yeah, that's where we're at right now. We're starting April 1st, so it's just around the corner. We're just going with 5 teams for this season. We just want to make sure that we do everything right. We do everything professionally. Um, we do everything the way we plan to do it. Fix all the bumps in the road, get it all
Mm-hmm.
smooth and ready to go so we can move forward with it. Expansion, of course, is something that we look at for next season. But like I said, we're just not letting just anyone in this league.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't buy into what we're doing, you're not going to get in.
Okay, so you said 5 teams currently. How many games
Mhm.
is what's the game? How many games are y'all going to look to play in this first season per team for the most part?
Well, I think everyone, of course, we're playing home and away, so that's eight
Home and away.
games.
Roger.
Everyone else is looking for a few exhibition games. I know the Wizards are playing 12 this year, and I think some of the other teams are playing right at 12 or 14. So that's pretty much where we're at this season.
Okay, 12 or 14 games. In the so the for the most part, y'all like you said, y'all start April 1st, which is just around the corner. Um, is there going to be? You said you're structured somewhat the similar way as the NBA. So does that mean in y'all first year are you going to have an All Star game mid season, or those similar things, or that's something later on down the line in which y'all looking at doing?
Yeah, we've talked about that. I believe that's probably something we're going to forego until next season,
Okay.
just because we want to get everything tight and right this first year, and then look to build from there.
So why some people are listening or hearing, like here Jason Las Fasciano, of course, he's in the Military Basketball Association, in which he has some conferences
Hmm.
or anything like that, but he is in or around in a similar area as well as Mike Hill, who is actually he's in Oklahoma. So what is it? Where can an individual go, or what can a person do or look for to if they were potentially looking at trying to start a franchise and want to become part of the Mid American Basketball Association? What's some of the things in which you are looking for when you're looking talking about ownership in your league?
Well, we look for solid ownership. You don't miss games. You're involved in community, which is huge for us. The youth. Um, they need so much direction in this day and age. It's not even funny. That's
Mm,
something that I'm very big on here in Wichita, and we're continuing to work on as much as we possibly can. Um, and then, of course, doing things right, um, following the rules of the league. A lot of owners and teams don't do that in other leagues, and we're not going to have that in the MABA. We want to be as professional as we possibly can be. Um, of course, like I said, expansion. Um, we like to have good venues, great officiating, and we want each one of our games to be uh, an experience, not just a basketball game. So everything that's wrapped around a game, just like the NBA does, that's what we're striving to do.
mhm.
Dance teams, entertainment, giveaways, everything that we possibly can to make it an event instead of just a basketball game. So
Okay.
that's another thing that we look for.
So of course, in this first year, has y'all have y'all gone or gained any sponsorship yet, or is that something which you're still working on? Of course, as you said, it's 5 owners of teams currently that also have a
Mhm.
stake or ownership in the league. So is it just being done on their backs of them owners, or have y'all has there been sponsorship or anyone out there currently that has basically is buying into the vision?
Yeah, this first season, we knew it was going to be difficult to find sponsorship. Brand new league, only 5 teams. We did put a presentation together, which looked really nice, but we decided to, instead of pushing for league sponsors, for each owner to work on their own
Okay.
situation and get the sponsorship they needed to make through this first season, and then that way we have some history. Like I said, if we do things right uh, and do things well, that's going to help us get sponsors next year.
Okay, you have a question from Jason. He asks, "Does the MABA have a head of official, or do the teams just get their own for their home games?"
Yeah, that's another thing that we looked at was finding a head of officials. Um, we had a couple of possibilities, but they didn't work out. So we're basically working together to get our own officials for games, and that's another thing that we want to make sure next year is a head of officials.
Okay, so that has that been a real stick? Was it has it been that much of a sticking point to where it's hard to find that right individual or individuals that are able to find, because you want quality when you were talking about the officiating, which you like you've been around like I said a while with the being the GM of teams and then now the owner, but still the same thing remains. You've been in the game for a second. Is it that large of an issue to find good officials, in your opinion? Quality. I mean, there's I'm very sure
Um,
good, but quality.
yeah, yeah, that's true. True statement. And the reason why is because there aren't a lot of officials, and
Hmm.
there's so many basketball leagues out there, between youth leagues and adult men's leagues and minor league pro leagues. There aren't enough officials, so it's hard to get a group of good quality officiating teams to be part of a league. So that's something we definitely want to work on during the off season.
So, additionally, with the rules in basketball, of course, every league usually has something that's more of a niche. For the MABA, is it strictly NBA type rules and across the board, or do you all have a certain niche that that separates your play from other leagues? As we know, other leagues have a certain type of play or certain rules in which you have to lead. Is that the same for the MABA, or are you strictly like, okay, I'm just locked in? We're playing basketball, NBA style basketball, what everyone knows in the rules.
Yeah, we've discussed that too. Um, we're going with NBA rules, but we have a few changes because obviously we don't have uh, the TV that the NBA does, so we don't need as many timeouts.
Hmm.
There's other things that are going to be changed just a little bit in the rules, but for the most part, we are going by NBA rules.
Okay. That makes it a little bit easier. Of course, I have Jason. I'm gonna have to connect y'all. He said he's listening. He's if you want to talk about, let you know. In reference to officiating, he does officially officiating, and kind of connects the NBA to officials across three conferences. So I definitely can get y'all connected so that way y'all can tap in and speak to one another, see what comes from there.
Yeah, that'd be great.
All right. So now you have it to where, of course, like you said, games is already checked. You got games ready to go. Uh, Games ready to go starting April 1st. Um, League established. Recognize that everyone y'all going to do it. Basically, do your things in your markets, in your particular markets. Um, let's talk about the players in competition for the most part. Now, is this a situation to where players are being paid, or does the league push players making compensation? I know, like you said, your owners that have franchises in which the owners own their franchises. So is that something that's pushed by the league, or is it the league leaves it up to the owners to dictate how they go forth and on their players? Do y'all have a draft? How are y'all players selected?
Players are basically, as far as the Wizards go, all of our players are local.
Okay.
We do that on purpose because for the community to get wrapped around your team, I think it's most important to have local players because those people are known. People want to come support them, get behind what they're trying to do to help them reach their goals as a basketball player. As far as pay for players, um, it's not required in the league at all.
Okay.
It goes from owner to owner, depends on their situation. Of course, financially, because for each owner, it's their own business.
Hmm.
They know what they can do, what they can't do. But we all try to work together as a team to help one another in that regard with ideas. We're all wanting to get involved in youth programs through our teams, have our players coach those youth teams, mentor those kids. And if we do it through a nonprofit that we create, that's one way we can pair players for coaching these kids. So we're trying to be very creative about what we can do to help pay players. It's not necessarily going to be a monthly stipend or anything like that at this point, but we're trying to be creative and pay them different ways.
Hmm. And hopefully that works out because, of course, uh, if it, of course there's no salary cap that you have, of course, your league currently, to which, of course, a player or unless y'all have rules in reference to who plays or how the players play or how they do chosen, that a person can stack the
Hmm.
team if they have the ability to play to where for years to come the Wichita Wizards can be running the MABA because they had the ability to bring in players in their local area, D1 players or players that was played ball that just didn't go to college or still around there. And if they can pay, and then you have the other 3 or 4 teams that aren't able to do that, you can potentially build a great squad possibly. So I'm very sure. I wonder, does that become a sticking point or a selling point when a person goes and recruits players to play in the MABA on for their organization. So it's very interesting, of
Sure,
course. Uh, but I mean,
sure. I
it
mean, if
happens
you
like
look at
that.
the history of the yeah, if you look at the history of the NBA, you have some markets that um, have that prestige that they've had for years and years. Lakers, the Celtics, the Bulls, and so on. You know, players want to go play there because there's certain expectation when you do go play there. So it could potentially be the same type situation.
Hmm. At the same time, like I said, I always say it's level to it, but in state is it all comes down to the same thing. It's just a matter of where you're at, and of course, the money aspect. So, but definitely a different.
Mhm.
So now you have the players competition, like you said. So there's no. So basically, the market is built upon the players in that organization, the team going out and finding players or building their rosters. There's no draft or anything like that, or there's nothing that in which the league conducts to a player pool or holds combines or anything like that. It's strictly all based on the team and the ownership of that team and how they conduct themselves.
Yeah, we've talked about in the future potentially doing combines and maybe a draft down the road, but that's not something we're even ready to do at this point. So,
Got it.
but it is something we are discussing as a group of owners.
Okay. So currently, players, like you said, league established, teams established, schedule established, players, competitions all set, rules set, officiating by the teams or things in talks. Where could or will be, or what's the expectancy of the time frame for the championship for the inaugural MABA season? Where would that be played at? Would it be at the specific venue, or would it just be hosted by the top team? Is it going to be the best of a series, one game? How do y'all plan to do that in this inaugural year?
Yeah, that's something that we've discussed a couple of different options. We want to make sure that we're playing somewhere. Oh, I can't come up with the word. A neutral site. There we go.
Neutral. Hmm.
We will be playing in a neutral site. Uh, Most likely, we'll have the fourth and fifth seed do a play in, and then we'll have
Okay.
the final four from there, so that everyone's involved in the playoffs. We don't want the fifth team to not be able to play. So that's what we're planning to do right now. We talked about having potentially a 3 game series for the championship. We haven't set that in stone yet, but that's also a possibility. But we would be looking at ending the season the last weekend in June.
Okay, just before the 4th of July weekend.
Right.
Okay. That sounds all good. It sounds like you got a start, a pretty good start for the most part. So I know initially, like you said, you had about 20 minutes. Now we're at the 36-minute mark. So of course, I wouldn't want to hold you any longer than it need be. But of course, like you said, y'all here, Mid American Basketball Association getting ready to get started. So if you're in that regional area currently, um, Kansas, Oklahoma area, there's a league there that's getting started. Uh, Opportunity potentially if you reach out to be on the ground floor, going forth in engagement. Um, it's opportunity. All for the most part, all you need is a chance to build on an opportunity. Um, I surely will. I got you, Jason. I send it to you. Um, So, of course, before you get out here, Mark, anything else in which you would like to depart or put out there in reference to those that are still listening, or that have some information in reference to where can they go? Is there a website for the MABA or social media outlets? Where can they find information in reference to the league?
Yeah, we are finishing up our website as we speak. So it's not quite up and live yet. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find me. Um, so, yeah, any one of those three would work out.
Okay, so that's just basically the Mid America Basketball Association is basically your handles for Facebook and LinkedIn as well as Instagram.
Yeah, I believe our handle on Instagram is MA Basketball Association. So you can
Okay.
find us on IG there, MA Basketball Association. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so y'all hear it here first. If you looking to a potential get set up with a league or have, saying they're newly started, so you might have an ideal in reference to something to be supportive and help them out. Be sure, be feel free, hit them on any of the social media sites, contacts, and so that way you can have a word and see if there is what can you work out. Um, Mark, I appreciate you coming on this morning, taking a little time out your day to inform us and let us know what's going on and what's with the Mid American Basketball Association and what y'all got. And hopefully we'll be able to have you back on. Maybe talk about the we're just hoisting up the first trophy in the Mid America Basketball Association. Or just to help and continue to speak and let us know how it went the first year and spread the word.
Absolutely, that'd be great.
Yes,
I
sir.
appreciate you having me on your show, Travion.
Oh, no, there's no problem. I greatly appreciate it. It's been a good thing. Always looking to help out, and saying, of course, hopefully, Jason, I sent them your information. I'm sending you his information currently, so hopefully, um, it can build. That's something in which y'all can build on, and you never know, you might be finding right here. You might have found the ahead of officials or something like that. So it's always
Okay.
greatly appreciated. So Of course, uh, we as Mr. Creed drops off because he has to get to the job that pays him currently. We'll be going forth and continue on as we have the show that let's get to talking about some of these other things. There's a lot, like I said at the top of the hour, going on where we have the tournament starting this today. Of course, you got a lot going on with the whole Aaron Rodgers fiasco, people being picked up, people being released. Like it's a lot getting ready to go on for the most part. So let me pull up my other screens real quick. Hold on, let me finish what I was doing right quick. Um, some very interesting conversation with the in reference to another league being started. It's plenty of them out there, but of course, like you said, just because you have a good amount of leagues that's out and about doesn't necessarily mean that they're the best league, or even for the most part, like you said, the best um, for certain organizations. So, of course, tap in. Uh, if you're looking at getting a franchise started, maybe the Mid American Basketball Association is for you. If not, you still got other ones out there. The PBA is a hot one that's popping right now. Of course, you have the long-standing ABA. So PBA, Chris Terrell, ABA, Joe Newman. Then you have a couple of other ones out there. The Maximum Basketball League. I know there's a NBL. Kevin Williams in the NBL National Basketball League, TBL, Dave Magley and company. Um, so some out there, but all of them in state have the same thing intact. Of course, like we always said, there's levels to this stuff. But of course, when you look at in the world of military basketball, you have the Military Basketball Association. You have, as far as the league, you have the conferences and the CMAC and the WAMAC. Then you have the granddaddy of them all, as has been noted, the uh, national military basketball tournament. As we know, they're getting close to the in-state in taking care and having their to drawing to finding out where, who, what, where, when, and why. Additionally, you got the AAU men's and women's basketball talent that's coming up, in which actually we're going to speak about that tomorrow on the show. So be sure to tap in tomorrow. Y'all know what it is to engage as we get a couple of people on that the promoters, directors, correction, not promoters, the ones that are running said tournament, Battle of the Badges, AAU men's and women's basketball. So, of course, always doing what we can to forward, whether it's military basketball, sports in general. As we said, we heard Mark here speak on it, is especially sometimes it's not about just the sport in itself, it's about what there is you're doing. As I said, the MABA is huge on community, in which they are looking forward to working with youth to give youth an opportunity to do different things. So whatever your niche is, or whatever you particularly care to be a part of, is an opportunity in that. So always something going on and out there. So I can't say it is short of anything in reference to being able to be involved in more than one way. So, of course, like I said, NBA last night, opportunities open. Speaking of opportunities, opportunities miss. I hate it, but it is what it is. What we think will happen can happen and will happen to give an opportunity. First and foremost, as we all know, the NBA has levied a 8-game suspension against John Morant for what they consider to be actions detrimental to the league, in which he's currently going to be out 8 games. Of course, 6 of them 8 games he's out. He was been spending in the treatment facility. After leaving the treatment facility, he of course is expected to come out and still have 2 games that are left. For the most part, I think the expectation or the decision made by John Morant is, even when he is eligible to begin playing again or become reinstated, he doesn't expect to just go and start playing initially. So he has in his mind that he is clear and concise about really helping himself and doing better. And Excuse me. I'm so sorry. Excuse me. And ideally, going away from making decisions or making bad decisions in whichever that entails. So we will see if this is a situation to where he is true and contrite in his what the message he get. Um, I think it was reported by ESPN that he spoke with, of course, Jalen Rose. As Jalen Rose, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, we read Jalen Rose's statement and comment to John Morant saying that John Morant is him. He did all these things and he went through this stuff. So ideally, experience um, and consulting should help, or maybe is helping John Morant to get back to a place to where he is able and be in control, realizing that he has a lot to lose if he continues down a path in which it seems like he's going. But in any case, his team has to continue to play whether he is there or isn't there for any case of the matter, in which the Miami Heat hosted the Memphis Grizzlies last night. Uh, Grizzlies led by Jared Jackson Jr. 25 points, 9 rebounds, and 1 assist. 14 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist from Luke Kennard. 11 points apiece from Tyus Jones and Desmond Bane, as well as 4 rebounds, 5 assists for Jones, 3 for Bane to go along with that. 12 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist from Zaire Williams. 8 points, Xavier Tillman. 7 from Dylan Brooks. And 10 points from Kenneth Lofton Jr., but it wasn't enough as the Heat's three players in 20 points or more, led by Bam Adebayo's 26 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 24 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists from Tyler Hero and Jimmy Butler, 23 points, 8 rebounds, 6 assists on the night. Contributions from Matt Strus with 12 points, 11 points from Caleb Martin, 10 points from Gabe Vincent, following it up with Kyle Lowry's 8 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 7 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and 10 points, 6 rounds, 3 assists from Kevin Love. The Miami Heat get the dub 138 to 119. That W gets them to 38 and 33 on the year in the East. The Memphis Grizzlies drop to 41 and 27 in the West as they are locked in a head-to-head battle versus the Sacramento Kings for that second spot in the West, while still chasing the Western Conference leading Denver Nuggets. So, of course, like I said, usually what the rhetoric has been lately, after these going through these scores and going on who's tapped in next, we go over what the current standings is, and you'll find out just exactly where they sit currently after losing last night. Another game last night. Battle 3 versus 4 in the East. The Cleveland Cavaliers hosted the Philadelphia 76ers as the 76ers was led by Joel Embiid's 36 points, 18 rebounds, 3 assists, 28.6 rebounds, 12 assists from James Harden, 23 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists from Tyrese Maxey, their triple-headed monster. Shake Milton contributed with 11 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists, 7 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist from Tobias Harris. PJ Tucker dropped 5.6 rebounds and 3 assists, as well as Joris Noang with 8 points, 1 rebound, 1 assist on the night. The Cavaliers was led by Donovan Mitchell's 21 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. Karis LeVert contributed with 24 points, 3 rebounds, 6 assists himself. 15 points from C.D. Osman. Isaac Oroku with 9 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist on the night. Even Mobley, 13 points, 12 rebounds, 5 assists. But it wasn't enough as the Cleveland Cavaliers fall to the Philadelphia 76ers by a score of 118 to 109. Probably most likely just losing a game advantage in the case. One team gained, the other one lost. It's just how the ball bounces, but still plenty of time, opportunity, more than 10 games, at least 11 to 12 games left in the season for a lot of teams in which they have an opportunity to make a run. I look at it as if you win your games, then you don't have to worry about people helping you out, at least if you're in the race currently. Another game last night, another opportunity missed out. Lakers, blood clot. The Boston Celtics were hosted by the Minnesota 76, Minnesota Timberwolves, in which you had a game played. Jaylen Brown, 35 points, 10 rebounds, 1 assist. Jason Tatum, 22 points, 12 rebounds, 1 assist. Malcolm Brogdon, 12.6 rebounds, 2 assists. Al Horford, 11 points, 3 rebounds, 5 assists. 9 points apiece from Marcus Smart and Derek White. 4 points from Blake Griffin and 2 points from Grant Williams. On the other side of the spectrum, a situation wasn't the best of situations. A lot of controversy for the most part, as Anthony Edwards led the field with 28 points, 10 rebounds, and 7 assists in Minnesota. 15.6 rebounds from Nas Reed. Kyle Anderson contributed with 15.7 rebounds, 8 assists. Jaden McDaniels, 14 points, 5 rebounds, 1 assist. 15.6 rebounds, 1 assist from Rudy Gobert. As the controversy brewed, as there was a foul call in which it was deemed that it wasn't the right call. Of course, it was at the most inopportune moment, in which somewhat in a degree cost. I won't say necessarily cost them. That call cost them, but it did make a turning point for um, the Celtics, in which in state is it was against the Timberwolves, and basically put them out of touch, and which was a walk-off call, in which the teams walked off to their locker rooms, and the end state was the Timberwolves fell to the Boston Celtics at home by the score of 104-102. With that win, the Boston Celtics increased to 48-22 on the year, just 2 games out from being a 50 win team for the year. Uh, the Timberwolves dropped their record to now a 535-35, but keeping pace in front of the lower tier of the teams in the top seven, and being I think currently a 7 or 8 seed currently, with 12 games left on the season. So it continues on. You see, it's a tight race in the West, and they continue to fight for their spots in the playoffs. A couple more games left, of course. A late game in which came down to a last second shot. A little controversy initially, as right before at the buzzer, with I think 11 seconds left, DeMar DeRozan gets a 3-point conversion and one for a 4-point play. Um, that coupled, of course, DeMar DeRozan, 33 points, 3 rebounds, 3 assists on the night, 20 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists from Nikola Vucevic. Zach LaVine, 25 points, 5 rebounds, 6 assists, 12 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists from Kobe White. Patrick Williams, 13 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Patrick Beverly contributed 11 rebounds, 3 points, and 3 assists on the night. Ayo Adamansu, 3 points, 1 rebound, 4 assists. 3 points from Terry Andre Drummond, 2 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. But as we said before, the Kings are a certain type of animal. Mr. Brown, Coach Brown, has them clicking on all cylinders over there in the West, and it transfers. It carries. It carried to the East down to Chicago. Demonis Sabonis, yet again, another triple-double, 14 points, 17 rebounds, 10 assists. 17 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist from Harrison Barnes. Keegan Murray, 9 points, 10 rebounds, 1 assist. 19 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists from Monk. Kevin Horton with 15 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists on the night. Aaron Fox, 32 points, 3 rebounds, 1 assist. But I think the biggest point came from the closing seconds in the game, in which he goes and gets the separation, knocks down the walk-off three-pointer to get the win for the Kings by the score of 117-114. With that win, the Kings improved to 41-27 on the night, taking over the second seed. I'm very sure, as I have a look at the standings, taking over the second seed from the Memphis Grizzlies. Most lost, especially after they lost. The Bulls on the losing end, 31-37, currently 6 games below 500, but only having 12 games left themselves, to where they're able to potentially turn around, maybe get 6 of these last 12 games, and maybe put themselves in a good position. We'll see when we talk about these standings. Three more games left on the docket. Last night, the Dallas Mavericks took on their cross-state rival, uh, the San Antonio Spurs. In this particular one, there wasn't no believing in fairy tales, kid. The Mavericks, 5 players with 20 points or more, led by Christian Woods, 28 points, 13 rebounds, 3 assists. Dwight Powell contributed 22 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists. Josh Green, 21 points, 3 rebounds, 7 assists. Jaden Hardy, deuce, 6 points. 6 rebounds and 4 assists. And then lastly, Reggie Bullock, 20 points, 13 rebounds, 2 assists. Contributions, of course, came from Maxi Kleber with 3 points, 6 points from Davis Bertrand, and JaVale McGee getting a look last night, 4 points in 4 minutes. The Spurs, 27 points from their leading scorer, Keldon Johnson, 8 rebounds and 2 assists to go along with that. 20 points from Malachi Branham, 5 rebounds, 2 assists. 13 points apiece from Devontae Graham and Trey Jones. 10 points from Sandro Makasalevi. 17 points from Romeo Layford. 4 rebounds to go along with that. 9 points from Doug McDermott. 6 from Dominic Burlow. And lastly, Gorey Dang, 2 points. But when you add it up, it isn't enough. The Spurs fall to the Mavericks on their home court by the score of 128 to 137. With that W, the Mavericks, without Kyrie Irving and Luka Doncic, move up to 35 and 35, 500 on the year currently. The Spurs drop to 18 and 51. Still an opportunity for them to at least maybe get to 25 wins, possibly, or not. Victor Wembanyama sweepstakes. They're trying to punch that ticket. Of course, the Spurs, I think, currently gearing up to take on the Los Angeles Lakers in their next game. Let me just look ahead. Yes, tomorrow taking on the Los Angeles Lakers in the late game. So giving them an opportunity to get some separation. Got to 500. Of course, speaking of the Lakers, they had an opportunity to get the 500 last night as they visited the Houston Rockets in H-Town, coming off a nice win over the New Orleans Pelicans, winning against the teams in which they have a potential to be locked in to for a roster spot win. So the expectation was they would go to Houston and take care of business, in which D'Angelo Russell led the squad, 18 points, 1 rebound, 7 assists. Correction, Austin Reeves led the squad, 24 points, 4 rebounds, 7 assists. Russell, 18 points, 1 rebound, 7 assists. 16 points, 3 rebounds from Malik Beasley. 16 points, 2 rebounds from Dennis Schroeder. 5 points from Roy Hachimura. Troy Brown contributed 8 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist. Wayne Gabriel cleaning the boards last night, 6 points, 14 rebounds, 1 assist. Lonnie Walker contributed with 4 points. Jared Vanderbilt, double-double, 13 points, 10 rebounds, and 5 assists. But it wasn't enough as the Rockets, led by Kevin Porter Jr.'s 27 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, 13 points, 4 rebounds from Deshaun Tate, 12 points, 3 rebounds, and 1 assist from Josh Christopher. Jabari Smith Jr., 18 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist on the night. Kenyon Martin Jr., 16 points, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. And Alperen Sengun with 13 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, as he looked to be a problem last night for the Lakers, minus Anthony Davis, minus LeBron James, minus a W, as the Lakers fall to the Rockets by the score of 110 to 114. Now falling behind 2 games below 500, missing the opportunity to capitalize on a couple of losses in the West. With that win, though, the Rockets add yet another one to their column. Currently 17 and 52 on the year, already eliminated from playoff contention, but they continue to show that they're not just going to lay down, that they continue to play as if they were playing for something in state. And last but not least, the last game of the night pitted the coastal um, two coastal teams just up the highway from one another. Golden State traveled to the crypto.com to take on the Los Angeles Clippers, in which Steph Curry 50-piece drop on the Clippers, but unfortunately, it came in a losing effort. Curry's second game of the year in which he has scored 50 points but didn't get a win. Currently, Steph Curry is the only player to score 50 points or more and not get a win, as the record sits currently for others 18-0. Kev is the lone 2 points for a player with 50 points or more, and no dub, unfortunately. Other players, of course, 15 points from Klay Thompson, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 19 points, 1 rebound, 5 assists from Jordan Poole, 8 points from Jonathan Kuminga, 7 from JaMychal Green. Jamar Green contributed with 8 points, 5 assists, and 8 rebounds. Dante DiVincenzo, 10 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists. Kevin Looney cleaning the board, 6 points, 13 rebounds himself, 1 assist. 7 points, 3 points from Moses Moody, and Patrick Baldwin contribute with an assist. For the Clippers, led by Kawhi Leonard, 30 points, 8 rebounds, and 5 assists. A double-double from Ivica Zubac, 19 points, 16 rebounds, 2 assists. Terrence Mann, 17 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists. 16 points from Eric Gordon, 15 from Russell Westbrook, and Paul George, his running mate, 24 points, 2 rebounds, 7 assists. Marcus Morris kicked out, ejected when he basically threw Draymond Green down to the ground after trying to box out. The Clippers get the dub. Currently 37-33 on the year, 4 games above 500. The Golden State Warriors dropped 36-34, 2 games above 500. But the fight continues. Basically, respectfully, the Clippers were able to jump the Golden State Warriors to the 5th spot, now putting the Golden State Warriors in the crosshairs of all the teams that sit behind them. Currently, as minimum, the Lakers sit at the 10th spot, I believe, in which, actually, let's go to that now. Lakers currently sitting at the 10th spot, I believe, in which just puts them 2 games behind the Golden State Warriors for that 6th seed. Going back to the top, the Nuggets are currently have a 4.5 game lead over the Sacramento Kings and the Memphis Grizzlies. Kings owning the tiebreaker currently lead are the 2nd seed. The Grizzlies are 3rd seed. The Suns bring up the 4th seed at 5 with the win last night. The Los Angeles Clippers jumped the Golden State Warriors, who put them in the 5th seed. The Warriors dropped to the 6th seed. The Timberwolves now sit in the 7th seed, but are technically tied with the Mavericks at the 8th seed. The Oklahoma City Thunder sit just above the Lakers at the 9th seed, and the Lakers currently sit in the 10th seed. Basically, as stated before, 2 games out of the 6th spot, 3 games out of the 5th spot, and basically just 3.5 games out of the 4th spot. So it's real close at this point. Lakers half a game behind the 9th seeded Thunder. The Mavericks is just 1 game. What's that fortune could change tomorrow if the Lakers are able to go take care of business and pull off a upset in versus the Mavericks on Friday night. So we can see, but that's just talking about the teams that are in. You still have the Trailblazers that are currently the 13th seed chasing the Lakers for the most part. They're just 2.5 games out in that game. 1.5 game for the Pelicans and a half game for the Utah Jazz. So it's anyone's ball game at this point. 6 games separating 4 through 13. We don't know how that's going to end up. On the other side of the conference, on the other side of the league, the Milwaukee Bucks currently leading the Boston Celtics by 2.5 games for the first and second seeds. The 76ers with last night's game takes a 4-game advantage over the Cavaliers in the 4th spot. The Knicks come in at the 5th spot. The Brooklyn Nets holding firm, just 1 game behind the Knicks for that 5th spot at the 6th spot to give them some separation between them and the 7th through 10th seed, which is the Miami Heat at 7, the Hawks at 8, the Raptors at 9, and the Washington Wizards currently at 10, with a half game lead over the Chicago Bulls, chasing them from the 11th seed. Pacers not too far behind, as they are only 2 games out from the ninth seed. The Magic just 3 games out from the ninth seed, and the Hornets holding on to a thread, but are due to get eliminated um, in the waning weeks as they get closer and closer. So tonight's games, of course, you have tap in. The Denver Nuggets have an opportunity to break their losing streak, currently set at 4 games losing, a 4 game streak. The Sacramento Kings take on the Brooklyn Nets to continue their elevation. So if the Nuggets lose and the Kings win, just a little bit closer. The OKC Thunder take on the Toronto hosted by the Toronto Raptors in Canada. The Milwaukee Bucks bring the Pacers to their home, and lastly, the Phoenix Suns to host the Orlando Magic as that continues to go. So let's go Raptors, let's go Nets, let's go Pistons, let's go Magic. For the most part. Make sure there's no more NBA conversation before we get into this next segment. Of course, like I said, be sure if you were watching, be sure to tap in tonight as we continue the conversation. Actually, we got a double doozy in this sense. Tonight we'll have the women of the military basketball forum to be speaking to them as we continue that conversation about the state of military basketball, but it would be from the perspective of the ladies. That we have a special show for them tonight, most likely 1800. After I get off here, of course, we will post the link in reference to so we can check that stream to my 1800 Central Standard Time. I guess you could say fresh formation at dark. Um, and then tomorrow morning, we'll be tapped in again, continuing the conversation as I look to have on Coach Bartley of the U.S. Army's men's all Army service basketball team, and maybe a couple of other people. So he'll be tapping in, talking to us live from Camp Casey, Korea. If you've been there, you know what it is. So he'll be on conversation. Be on conversation tomorrow morning. So ladies tonight, Coach Bartley tomorrow. A whole thing, as well as the special guest, Coach Walcott, and a couple of others to come on to speak to us about the AAU men's and women's Battle of Badges tournament that they have coming up in July. So it's military basketball back on the map. More conversations to be had going forth. As we know, going along with that, the NCAA men's tournaments, women's tournaments going on. As we know, last night, Farley, as we talked about briefly, Farley Dickinson took on Texas Southern with the opportunity to win and become the 16th seed in the East region tonight. To play against the number 1 seed Purdue Boilermakers. Fairleigh Dickinson gets the dub by the score of 81-61. Not even a particular contest. On the opposite side, in the West region, the University of Nevada 11 seed against Arizona State 11 seed, all to play the option to be the 11 seed in the field of 64 as the Arizona State Sun Devils gets the W by a score of 98-73, the blowout. So now we have today is going down tonight. What's good, bro? What's good? What's good? What's cracking with you, man? Tonight goes down a couple of games that start off as early as 11:15. So just as we're tapping off and leaving off the show today, is going to be going down where we're going to be talking about to being able to tap in and see. So you go from watching First Formation, tapping in with us, to going able to see the start of the West of the tournaments. First off, number 9 versus number 8, West Virginia and Maryland. You have opportunity to see Furman and Virginia, the 13th seed versus the 4th seed. At number the 10th seed versus 7th seed Missouri Tigers against the Utah State Utes going down as well. Number 1 seeded Kansas Jayhawks against the 16th seeded Howard Bisons. Number 1 seeded Alabama faces off against Texas A&M Corpus Christi. San Diego State Aztecs and the College of Charleston to getting in today. Number 2, Arizona faces off against the 15th seeded Princeton Tigers. Does the Ivy League school knock off the highly touted Arizona Wildcats? We'll see as the Cats get it in. Number 9, Illinois Fighting Illini will face off against the number 8th ranked Arkansas Razorbacks in the Western Region first round header. The Blue Dew Devils, them Dookies, take on Oral Roberts 5 versus 12. That's one of those. Those bouts to where you definitely have a situation to where it might you can see problems. 5 and 12, those 5 and 12s. Who I don't know who loses this year. What's the 12 that what 12 upsets who? Will it be Duke upsetted by Oral Roberts? We don't know. Iowa Hawkeyes will be facing off against the Auburn Tigers. That's the 8 versus 9 seed in the Western Mid region today. Texas University of Texas, the Hook'em Horns, battle with Colgate. That's the 2 and 15. Probably not too much problems there. The 7 and 10 Northwestern Wildcats take on the Boise Broncos, Boise State Broncos, and the 7 to 10 matchup in the Western region. University of Lafayette, them Raging Cajuns, 13th seeded versus against the 4th seed Tennessee Volunteers in the recent region. That's going down tonight. Number 1, University of Houston. This is Houston's opportunity. This magic moment. They have an opportunity to be in position to play in their home NRG Stadium at the end of March if they can last through the field. First up, the Houston Texans will be taking on the 16th seed North Kentucky University in the Mid-Red region. Texas A&M number 7 takes on the 10th ranked Penn State Nittany Lions. Them Bruins out of Los Angeles will be facing off against UNC Asheville. So for the last game of tonight's tournament, that's for the men. It's going down. I'm going to have to check in to check out some of them before I go in myself. So just like y'all, I'll be tuning in to see how it all goes down and preparing for it tomorrow night. So let's get into a little NFL conversation, right? Y'all know what's going on tomorrow for which we just talked about. But what is going on in the NFL? We all know some players have already been on the move. As we know, Troy Brown was signed by the Cincinnati Bengals last night. So he left Kansas City as he played last year on the franchise tag. He played yesterday. He played on the franchise tag. And now he's a Bengal. A couple of things which we saw yesterday. We've seen a 2-time rushing champion with 8,000 yards rushing, 10,000 yards total in all-purpose, get released after 7 years with the organization. It happens. It's a business. We've seen a lot of shuffling of contracts due to restructuring to make room to bring in players. It happens. We've seen what we thought was a top-rated cornerback get released, only to find out he hasn't been released yet. Excuse me, and it's expected to re-sign with said team. It happens. We've seen a highly decorated defensive lineman expected not to be on the team in which he just signed a $16 million 1 year $16 million contract last year, looking like he's not going to play this year, just to sign a $10 million 1 year contract to stay with said team again. It happens. All this to say it's been crazy for the start. And we haven't even got to the nitty gritty of it yet. I haven't said nothing about a particular quarterback that is being sought after, or basically has said he doesn't plan to be somewhere and is trying to make it out, but saying it's not on him. But we're going to get to it very shortly as I pull up the other aspects of it. So let me see. Uh, who's real? Who's fake? That's the type of people I hate. So, of course, like I said, cornerback Darius Slay. He was expected to be released yesterday by the Philadelphia 76ers. You know, I was all for it. Anytime in which they can set up and disengage and negate the Eagles getting upper hand, I'm all for it. But it didn't end up that way. What ended up happening is Darius Slay actually ends up potentially coming back to aforementioned uh, Philadelphia Eagles uh, to remain after just a day long discussion with the organization. So the expectation is Darius Slay will stay in Philadelphia. Philadelphia also able to sign James Bradbury to a 3 year, $38 million contract, which includes $20 million guaranteed uh, at the excess of a possible $44 million with the incentives. So that's not bad. Fletcher Cox re-signs again with the Philadelphia 76ers on a 1 year, $10 million contract to extend his plan. Uh, the Eagles did not get a chance to re-sign Miles Sanders, who has been in their stable the last 4 years, but they didn't get any a bad situation either, in my opinion, as they signed Rashard Penny to a 1 year, $1.35 million deal. Not bad for that type of price. That's actually hella good, including the $600,000 guaranteed contract. They did again re-sign Boston Scott, 2 years. I mean, 1 year, $2 million. So at this part, they've only spent $3.3 million for their contract with that $600,000 guaranteed for Rashard Penny. If he comes into camp and doesn't work out, that's all it's going to cost them. They save another $400,000. So right now, not too bad in my opinion for Philadelphia in what is considered to be a running back by committee league anyway. To sit up and basically commit one that has continuity there. Still more running backs out there if they want to actually get into it. Opportunity to draft a running back it still have paid, so not bad, kind of when you look at it for the Philadelphia Eagles. Jason Kelsey, of course, re-signed 1 year, $14 million to stay another year with the Eagles. Brandon Graham, the edge rusher, 1 year, $6 million. So not much being spent when it comes down to the Philadelphia Eagles. But of course, keeping James Bradbury and Darius Slay potentially to be able to link up and do battle with Trayvon Diggs and Gilmore in Dallas, or uh, Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard in um, in Miami. So not bad in my opinion at all. Going back to that, speaking of the Dallas Cowboys, same conference, same division. Tony Pollard, of course, gets the non-exclusive tag, which means he's potentially going to make at minimum $10 million on a year, unless they are able to come with a multi-year deal to solidify him as a rusher. Because, as aforementioned, the Dallas Cowboys released their former franchise running back, currently third on the all-time rushing list in Dallas. That being Ezekiel Elliott. He's out and a free agent, able to sign with who he wants. Is there a market for him? We will see. They also was able to re-sign Leighton Vander Esch to a 2-year, $11 million contract. Stephen Gilmore as acquired by in trade for the Indiana Colts in exchange for a 2023 fifth-round draft pick. Now Gilmore is a part of the Dallas Cowboys. Donovan Wilson re-signed to a 3-year, $24 million contract, with the first 2 years basically being guaranteed at $13.5 million. So at least he walks away with that. So the Cowboys, although not the most vocal in this, but they are willing and dealing. We do know. Additionally, I think they restructured Tyron Smith contract. They restructured Trayvon. Dak Prescott's contract, as well as I think restructured. Um, it was a another lineman's contract. So 3 linemen's contracts restructured to make room for them to be able to will and deal. A release of Ezekiel Elliott, re-sign. Franchise tag. Um, Tony Pollard. Oh, also re-signed. My fault. Also re-signed and restructured Gallup's contract as well. And the rumor is they're chasing or proceeding to try to tap in to get Odell Beckham Jr. Dallas can be making moves on the slide. So more to be seen there. Where's some other notable movements and stuff going on? You know, it wouldn't be right if I didn't go to my own San Francisco 49ers and San Fran. Of course, we know Sam Darnold signed to a $4.5 million base contract, including 3.5 guaranteed to be a potential backup or even possible starter. Jake Riddell re-signed for a 4-year, $20 million contract, $8 million guaranteed. Biggest swing so far, which they took just Javon Hargrave, 4 years, $84 million. That includes a $40 million guarantee. Kevin Givens, a 1-year extension. Isaiah Oliver, cornerback, agreed to a deal. We don't have this, the money on that yet. Earlier in the year, long snapper Tavera Pepper re-signed the 3-year deal for 1.5. Tashawn Gibson came back for another year on a $3 million contract. So making moves, getting some stuff. We have legacy, still have. This is just day 3 of free agency, so still some moves probably be made, as well as additionally the draft, in which we already have 7 compository picks in that aspect. So definitely looking at doing a couple of things. Um, Tampa Bay, we ahead and pulled the trigger. They found supposedly or possibly their franchise quarterback coming in, as they signed Baker Mayfield on a proven deal, $8.5 million for 1 year to compete against Kyler Trask to ensure that he is their quarterback for this near future. They additionally re-signed Chase Edmonds to a year. They've already released Leonard Fournette walk. Anthony Nelson resigned off the edge by the team. Jamal Dean agreed to a 4-year deal. He'll still be in the fold. Levante David resigns with them for 1 year, $7 million. That is all guaranteed. So a lot of the situation to where these top free agents are signing on proven deals or opportunities to probably get in the fold to where they can't use the franchise tag on them, get them in the fold, and then probably come back and extend for the most part. So it sounds like a lot of situations going on to where there's some love between the team and the player and the agent, to where there's like, okay, these handshake deals is like, okay, this is what we're going to do. And going forth to kind of like make it work. Who else made some moves? It was some other people. Oh, the Saints. I think the Saints are really willing to deal. They really, someone is in their bag right now, making some moves and talking about it. As we know, Derek Carr showed up, signed a 4-year, $150 million contract that includes a $60 million fully guaranteed signing at the signing. as well as 10 million guaranteed in year three for the most part. So Derek Carr, 100 million guaranteed on his contract within the first 2 years. Jameis Winston comes back and signed a 1 year deal worth $8 million, possibly guaranteed max. He's going to get 4 million base and can make up to another 4 million in guaranteed money. Jamal Williams just signed yesterday, 3 years, 12 million on the year, 8 million guaranteed, presumably possibly to be the backup or the insurance policy to Alvin Kamara, pending what Alvin Kamara has going on. As we know, he was indicted in reference to the beating for the man with him with two other players from the a Pro Bowl year before last, which he's still doing with those legal situations. Potentially, once all said and done, he could be suspended by the NFL for under the conduct policy. So definitely the insurance policy needed there. Michael Thomas re-signs signing a 1 year, $10 million contract with the possibility of being up to 15 million. So Thomas locked in. You already have Thomas. I don't know if Landry is still there. We know Chris Olave is still there. Bring in top tight end Jawan Johnson, who just signed a 2 year, $12 million contract with 8 million guaranteed. So to bolster the offense, Caden Sanders signs 3 year deal, 14 million. And Nathaniel Shepard, 3 year, $15 million deal. So it seems like the Saints is working. In my opinion, they're probably going to win. Excuse me. In my opinion, they're probably going to be the front runner for the NFC South. Although there's a lot of money spent by the Atlanta Falcons as well as the Carolina Panthers. As the Panthers, we know, traded away a good amount to the Chicago Bears to have the right to pick the first pick in the draft this year. Added Andy Dalton to the fray, 2 years, $11 million. Miles Sanders left Philadelphia to become the running back, probably the premier running back in Carolina. 4 years, 25 million plus 13 million guaranteed. The Panthers added Hayden Hurst at the tight end spot on a 3 year, $21 million contract, 13 million guaranteed. Shy Tuttle left the Saints to go to Carolina, who took a 3 year, $19.5 million contract to play against a cross division rival. Von Bell, safety, signed a deal with the Panthers, as well as Deshaun Williams, who agreed to a deal with the Panthers as well. So the Panthers not being too bad either. So it's looked like what we had in the NFC East this year is where we're going to be at with the NFC South, in a sense where you have a lot of teams that are locked in and engaging with one another. That's going to probably poach one another and make it hard. I do think I'm making an early suggestion, or early prediction, that Tampa Bay will be at the bottom of the barrel in NFC South this year. I'm just making that suggestion, that prediction now. Who else we got? What else we got that's popping off? What's happening? I wouldn't have thought that David Montgomery going to Detroit was going to force Jamal Williams out, but it did. But not bad. Chicago Bears making moves. I think they're going to be a hot one potentially. I think that's going to be a battle between Detroit and Chicago in the NFC North, in my opinion. Especially with the conversations going on, potentially a movement from Aaron Rodgers potentially going to the Jets, which we'll start speaking about shortly. But Chicago, of course, now signs PJ Walker, 2 year contract. He's expected to be the backup to Justin Fields. Interesting enough, that might not be a bad backup. Travis Homer agreed to a 2 year deal there. TJ Edwards, as we spoke about earlier, leaving the Philadelphia Eagles, signed a 3 year, $19 million contract with the Bears. Tremaine Edmonds, 4 years, $72 million. DeMarcus Walker agrees to a 3 year contract. Brought in Nate Davis to bolster that line, 3 years, $30 million. So really making a lot of moves. Of course, we know the biggest one being bringing in another receiver in DJ Moore from the Carolina Panthers for their first overall pick this year. As well, the Bears received the Carolina Panthers ninth round pick, a second round in the 61, and a first rounder next year, and a second round in 2025, all in the deal. So I want this, whatever Carolina's pick should be groundbreaking at number one. They should be. This is basically you're telling me this is the rookie of the year. This is the next best thing in the NFL. After you gave up that type of after you gave all that up to in reference to a team to where outside of I ain't gonna say outside of who are they throwing to at this point? For who's throwing and who are they throwing to? I know the expectation isn't that Andy Dalton's going to start, so it's like where are we going with this? And but of course we get to see into April the draft. We get an opportunity to see firsthand who is Carolina locked in on and bringing into the fold. In Chicago, they seem like they're both of them. They already have a commit as a tight end. They have a danger in Justin Fields as he continues to get better at quarterback. You got Herbert and now Homer as your backfield running back by committee, and now you've given him weapons to throw to. DJ Moore, you already had Mooney, and then Claypool who came in late potentially. So now you know what I'm saying that's not a bad. It's not the best, but it's not too bad either in that wide receivers room. So Chicago got better as well as adding a first and a second round pick, a ninth round pick, and a second round in a late well technically a late second round pick. So I mean we're gonna see is how it all plays out. We'll see how it all plays out. Um, Jacoby Brissett now a commander. But the expectation is that basically Jacoby Brissett's coming in to be the backup, and Hal is expected to be the starter. We'll see how that goes in practice. David Mayo resigns with the Commanders. Cameron Dancer claimed off waivers by the Vikings. Danny Johnson resigned a 2-year, $7 million deal. Darren Payne signs a 4-year, $90 million deal with the Washington Commanders. Staying in the fold. I wonder what they're going to do with Young as he hasn't been productive since his injury. Uh, yeah, a lot going on. Not too much huge movement yesterday outside of Zeke getting released. And now what we was getting ready to speak about is the situation in Green Bay. So what we have now currently is the situation where um to where Aaron Rodgers stated that he made a decision on Friday of last week that he decided that he was going to play with the New York Jets. Now, that's one thing to say that, right? Because the opportunity was that the Green Bay Packers gave Aaron Rodgers the permission to talk to the Jets in reference to a trade. Aaron Rodgers, after coming back from his dark getaway, said he was already 90% sure that he was going to retire from the Green Bay Packers and from the NFL. He went into his dark retreat, came back, had a different feel, but he also said that he felt like the Packers were the stance had changed in what they were willing to do, what they were saying from before. So when he went in and spoke to the New York Jets, he decided his decision was he is going to switch teams. His time in Green Bay is up. He was appreciative, and he's going on a different way, right? So, with that being said, it was a rhetoric that a couple of things came from their his interview, I guess, or his conversation with the Jets. One being that he gave a list of players that he gave a list of players in which he said he would come to the Jets if they were players. That is Mercedes Lewis, tight end, Randall Cobb at receiver, Alan Lazard at receiver, and the opportunity to play with Odell Beckham Jr. at receiver. So Aaron Rodgers comes back and said that's ridiculous. He said, now what was asked of him is if he was willing, who would be some players in which he would want to play with. So he said, of course, he gave the list in which he was asked for. It's like it wasn't like a demand list or anything like that, as reported. It was that he was asked questions, and he basically went forth and gave his answer. That's clear. That's simple. As we already know, supposedly, uh, the New York Jets have already went and secured Alan Lazard at 44, 3 years. I mean, 4 years, $44 million. He's young, younger, so that makes sense. Um, Additionally, though, Aaron Rodgers comes back and he states and lets it be known and said that he is not the reason the deal hasn't been made yet. He basically has stated and said that Green Bay is holding up this process currently. Why is Green Bay holding up the process? He said because Green Bay is trying to sit up and see what they can get from the situation. I guess they're trying to fleece the New York Jets in the situation. No numbers have been stated yet. Of course, you have a situation additionally where very short Aaron Rodgers is going to have to restructure his contract so that way they can continue to bring in other people because Aaron Rodgers is for the most part due to make about $60 million from this year, um, in which could be a pretty steep price tag. So I think he have to restructure his contract to fit into the budget or the cap space with New York, which is kind of holding New York because they're not able to go ahead and continue with free agents or even excuse me. Even as you look at it, as they wait on this deal, they're losing out on other potential players. Like we just said, we've seen Baker Mayfield go, we've seen Jimmy Garoppolo go, Derek Carr go, um, Jacoby Brissett go. There's not too many more out there in reference unless they're willing to give up first round draft picks in a trade to get Lamar Jackson, in which we haven't heard anything on the front since the conversation was said that he basically left $133 million on the table under a 3-year contract. There's not much other out there. So it's interesting to see what exactly is going on. What is the outcome? What is going on with the Green Bay Packers? If the deal's going to go down, is Aaron Rodgers going to sport a different green next year or this coming year? Different place, new face, different place. I'll see that. So that's interesting. Um, of course, you still have some that's out there, some talent, I guess. Chauncey Gardner Johnson is still out there, safety. Hasn't been re-signed or hasn't been picked up or signed. He's still a free agent out of Philadelphia. Odell Beckham Jr. still available. He did a workout last week in which there was some teams that took a look at him. Bobby Wagner, serviceable defensive linebacker, he's still out there. Dalton Schultz as a tight end. Teams that's looking to do some damage for a receiving tight end, he's there. Mike Gesicki is still out there and available potentially. Now, let's not take away these possibilities. These players can also potentially go back to the team in which they left, probably under a more conducive deal. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Excuse me. Uh, Yannick Goku, he's out there still. From the Colts, edge rusher. DJ Shark as wide receiver, young talent, still available. Punya Ford, a defensive lineman, available. Although he's been shocked a little bit. Shaquille Griffin, a serviceable cornerback, and maybe could do something. He's available. Jeff Davion Clowney, another edge rusher, getting a little older, but still effective for the most part. I think he can be serviceable as a backup. He's still available, although he's probably further and further down. Um, and for the most part, those are some of the top names. Marcus Peters, Calais Campbell got added late. Melvin Ingram, Teddy Bridgewater is another, maybe a serviceable quarterback, maybe get an opportunity. Not the first you would think to be the franchise quarterback now, but definitely a serviceable backup. Frank Clark as well. Running backs and Damian Harris, Justin Houston as the edge, although he's a little older, maybe not. Um, John Johnson at safety. Um, Taylor Rapp, actually, um, makes pretty good sense. Devin Singletary, I think it'll be a serviceable back into someone's system. Adam Thielen, a nice, if you probably can get him in the slot, I wouldn't mind seeing him in San Francisco, honestly. Get him in a slot, someone that could take the top off and get in and out. Robert Tonyan, maybe another option um, for Aaron Rodgers if they can't get Mercedes Lewis. Robert Tonyan actually was made by Aaron Rodgers. He came pretty serviceable. Uh, Still got a little tread on this tires. Irv Smith out of Minnesota. Nelson Aguilar, maybe not a bad selection. Maybe an opportunity to take a look at. Another person, maybe put him in the slot. He definitely blow the top off, get in and out of cuts. So a lot more, basically. As we know, the first some of the top players, Javon Hargrave was taken by the 49ers. Orlando Brown now a Bengal. Bradbury re-signed with the Eagles. Jesse Bates, a Falcon. He was part of this big sprinting spree in which the Falcons did at the beginning of free agency. So spending money to try and build a better team. 49ers lost a good one in Michael Glitchy as he became Denver Broncos, protecting Russell Wilson. Draymond Jones, now a Seahawk. Zach Allen, also a Bronco. Um, Jamal Dean stays in Tampa Bay. Jacoby Myers, now a Raider. So he's the Batman. He's the Robin to Devontae Adams' Batman. Uh, Levante David, a Buccaneer still. So Buccaneers signing, bringing back their talent. Opposite of Baker Mayfield, who they brought in. Jordan Poyer stays put. He resigns with the Buffalo Bills. Uh, Marcus Davenport leaves New Orleans, now a Viking. I think that was unexpected. David Long, now a Dolphin after leaving the Tennessee Titans. Darius Slay stays in Philadelphia. Juju Smith-Schuster, there hasn't talked about that. He is now a Patriot. So he's teaming up with Mac Jones, uh, Bill Belichick, and the crew after Jacoby Myers basically leaves. So he replaces Jacoby Myers on a 25 deal, 25 million 3-year deal. Tremaine Edwards, a Bear now. We discussed that a little bit earlier. Kelsey coming back. So Eagles find some of their good players. Of course, Jimmy Garoppolo, a Raider now. Davlin Thompson, now sporting the orange and brown uh, after leaving the Minnesota Vikings. Byron Murphy goes to Minnesota from Arizona. Jawan Taylor now protecting the backside of Patrick Mahomes as he's presumably the replacement for Taylor. I mean not Taylor. Oh shoot, I forget his name. Caleb McGarry, a Falcon, Jones. So that's for the most part different one. Peterson, we know he's a Pittsburgh Steeler now. Jimmy Ward leads the 49ers to go play for his old DC in now head coach in Houston. Brissett is a Commander. Bell is a Panther. Holcomb was also a Steeler. Key signs up with the Titans. So it's nothing too notable since then or groundbreaking. Well, of course, more to come for the most part when you look at it as how they go forth. And now, still a couple of people out there to build upon. This one hurt Aziz. I should hear leaves the 49ers to go to the Titans. Why couldn't we pay him? He's a young talent. Definitely did damage. I'm going to miss him. Um, Sheldon Rankins, also a Texan. So Texas, I think, is building a defense for the most part under our noses. We ain't even seeing them doing damages and building on a couple of things. Just going through my list and make sure everything I covered a good amount of the people. Of course, David Montgomery is a Viking. I mean, is a Lion, and now Baker Mayfield is a Buccaneer. So, um, interested to see what the rest of this starts to turn out. Like we said, the big fish that are out there currently, in my opinion, seeing what's going to go on with Aaron Rodgers, and then additionally, what's going to go on with Lamar Jackson, as we haven't even heard anything on the front in reference to who is um, who is he speaking to or engaging with, or who's interested to see what he has to offer. So very interested at this point. So I don't think there's anything left for me to really talk about. Let me make sure. If that, like I said, tonight, be sure to tap in, check in, as we have a special show. The women of military basketball get in and gives us their stance and what they see, how they see it. Of course, we have coaches, we have players, we have contributors, spectators, all that are going to be tapped in and listening, being on with us, tapping in with myself and Bishop tonight. So be sure to tap in tomorrow. Two different sets, still military basketball. They have Coach Walcott and his people get on and speak to us. And then, of course, Coach Bartley is going to tap in and speak to us as well. So a lot planned for tonight, tomorrow, getting ready for the weekend in which we have stuff to talk about. So be sure to tap in with us tonight, and tomorrow. Tonight, 1800 hours Central Standard Time. You see the link if you just say go like, subscribe, first formation on YouTube, Twitter, or the page, Facebook page, so that way you don't miss any of the content. You're always able to get a notification when we go live. Or what I'm saying, just be on the lookout when you see it come across your path. You see the live motion, and we'll be able to talk about it. Of course, I greatly appreciate y'all rocking with me this morning. Y'all heard talk about the military, the Mid America Basketball Association, as they get started in their new inaugural season starting April 1st. 5 teams currently looking to be expanding at some point. So if you ever had a thought of owning an organization and being a part of something, take a look into it. It might be a move in which you look. It might not be the best move, but it might be a move that propels you into other greatness. You never know. So in any case, I greatly appreciate y'all watching with us this morning. Be sure to tap in tonight, 1800. Another show is going down. All love and peace. I hope y'all enjoy your day. It's the day. It's the weekend eve. So enjoy it. I'll holler at y'all. Peace. I'm out here.